Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome. My name is Jaden Sheridan. I'm a manager of solution strategy at Fusion 5, and I'll be facilitating your session today with the fantastic team at Celigo. What we've chosen to showcase here, we've called it Operationalising AI with Fusion 5 and Celigo, and the emphasis really is deliberately on that word operationalizing. Most of us aren't short on AI ideas. You've probably heard AI as an acronym thrown about the place, too frequently for your liking. I'm sure I feel that way. But, really what we've got now are ways in which we can take those concepts and turn them into reality. So we want to be getting our ideas running in production, connected to the systems we already use, and delivering value that people across business can actually see. So that's what today is about. To walk you through it, we've got so our great colleagues over at Celigo. We've got Rico, head of global partnerships, and Yusuf and Ivan. Ivan's not here today, is he?
Ivan is not here today.
Ivan's not here today. Okay. Any of you who may have joined the live session earlier, we had Ivan on the call, but Yusuf's going to be able to walk us through our demonstration today as a solution consultant. So, we've got some great resources here. They've helped hundreds of organizations take AI experimentation and turn them into real working automation. So you're going to be in good hands. Very quick walk through our agenda. With we're going to quickly go through some welcomes and introductions for both Fusion 5 and Celigo, and then we're really going to get straight into describing what the capabilities are of that platform and walking you through a bit of a demonstration. So if we go to the next slide. Fusion 5, just for anyone who may not be aware of where we are today, it's been a long journey with Fusion 5 over, nearly 2 decades. We see ourselves these days as transformation partners. And really what that means is that, we can look at your 360-degree transformation requirements. It could be AI, it could be data and analytics, it could be integrations, it could be business applications or cloud infrastructure managed services, the whole gamut. So we're here to help, and we've got a broad spectrum of resources to lean on there. And as you can see, 900 plus employees, offices around ANZ. So we're in most places that you are, and we're looking forward to helping you if anything you see today sounds appealing. But we'll move into Celigo's details now, and I might hand over, if that's okay, to the Celigo team.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us here. It's an honor to be participating in this event. Celigo, has been a longtime partner of Fusion 5. We have so many mutual customers. And Celigo, too, has been doubling down in the APAC, ANZ region. And so it's an area that we're looking to grow. It's a significant portion of our customer base, and looking forward to sharing some new things to keep growing in this market here. But if you've known Celigo, especially if you've been in the NetSuite ecosystem, you may not have realized that Celigo today is one of the largest and most important integration platforms in the world. We serve companies of all shapes and sizes across the globe, automating business processes across all sorts of applications. And we've really have become very well known in the market, to the point where, Gartner named us a visionary in the Gartner Magic Quadrant last year. They named us the only customer choice for iPaaS in 2005. And Celigo has been the #1 iPaaS on G2 for the last 2 straight years, and including the fact that G2 named us 2026 Software of the Year. So this is quite a maturity beyond our roots of what people traditionally have thought of Celigo. And Celigo today is much more than just, what people think maybe in terms of point-to-point integration. We've extended such that now, beyond application integration, we also do B2B or EDI integration. We have a world-class API management and API building solution. We do quite a bit of data integration, data ingestion, ETL, ELT type work. And where we're going to be focused today, which is the area that Celigo has grown the most over the last 6 to 9 months, perhaps, is in terms of the agentic automation, AI-based workflows, and so on. By the way, if you're in the NetSuite ecosystem, Celigo also is known for cloud extensive tools, which is the productivity tools that enable you to integrate with applications such as Excel, Outlook, Gmail, and so on. Working with live NetSuite data inside of Excel without needing to export it, and so on. But there's two areas where AI plays a role on Celigo. Number one is it's in the building of the integration, in terms of where we can accelerate the development of the integration and auto mapping and so on. And this is actually a really big deal. And in fact, we're going to talk a little bit about our newest release, Celigo Aura, that allows you to automatically just use natural language essentially to build the integrations. And it's fairly cutting edge work there. But beyond that, we're also going to talk about the use of agents in building agents using Celigo. So we release things like AI Studio, Agent Builder, MCP Server, and so on. And so these are some of the very latest in terms of what's possible with Celigo and AI. But just for completeness here, just to make sure we're all on the same page in terms of some of the terms that we're going to be using today. So these are common AI terms. LLL is the large language model. This is the big names that most of you are already familiar with in terms of OpenAI and Gemini, Claude, Anthropic, and so on. This is the brains of the AI as we call it. And then we use that in terms of creating AI workflows. So this is where we create tasks and chains of tasks that include AI support. But we'll also be talking about AI agents. And if AI agents, think of it as more of a bot or a digital coworker. It's really, beyond just answering questions. This is where AI can actually kick off different activities on your behalf. And then we're gonna, talk about MCP as well. This is one of the biggest things. It's the universal connector for AI. It's a thing that makes it possible for AI systems to speak to each other. It creates a common language so that we don't need to be building everything from scratch. With the custom integrations every time that we want to add agentic functionality to it. And so that's one of the big things that Celigo has released recently, and we're going to talk about that is in the demo, is the ability to build and customize the MCP servers with Celigo. And one of the things that's important in terms of how Celigo approaches it is that MCP servers by themselves are they're not a super strong protocol. And so one of the things that Celigo does is add a governance layer, protection layer, in a guardrail, basically in your MCP server, so you can really control what information and the type of content that can go through the AI to make sure that it becomes more realistic and possible to be able to release some of these workflows within enterprise and organizations. So before we jump in, we wanted just to share a couple thoughts that we've learned on the ground in terms of implementing, this, for real with customers and the adoption that's come from it. One is that it's important to understand that we're not trying to replace everything with AI automation. We're not trying to replace everything with AI flows. What really works is instead is for AI to augment existing workflows that are doing that are in place. Think of it as there are workflows that exist, and then you want to make sure that you're just surgically inserting AI in the areas where it's needed, whether it's a lot of data, whether it's qualitative decision making is needed, whether there's unstructured data in there. That's really what the starting point for adoption. It's not to replace everything. The second one is that you want to try to avoid fragmenting your AI strategy, or at least think about AI holistically. What we mean is, let's say in the NetSuite ecosystem, there's so much conversation about this wonderful functionality about NetSuite Next and NetSuite MCP. These are really critical tools and functionality to be able to leverage NetSuite data with AI. But what's missing from the conversation is that oftentimes, you're talking about different solutions for different applications. Salesforce is all about Agentforce, and Microsoft tools are all about Copilot. And what you miss out on this is essentially the ability to leverage the fact that there's so many there are AI agentic workflows that benefit from actually taking data from multiple applications. And so this is one area that Celigo has really shined over the last 6 to 9 months here, is as the orchestration layer for AI across multiple applications. And we're going to show some examples in terms of what that actually means in practice there. And then the final thing is that you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Don't start with processes, with just new AI-based processes. If you really want adoption, look at the existing workflows that people are using on the ground today and find opportunities to improve, augment those existing workflows rather than trying to create new workflows from scratch. Because once you do that, once you show how some of these workflows can be improved, then it clicks in terms of like, oh, what about this? What about this? And then you start with and then you move on to different processes. And so we've been able to do that, just for a quick example here. We have a library of workflows, some of it that you can go into our own marketplace inside of the product. To provide ideas that you can implement and that should accelerate adoption. For example, anything that involves customer 360. Anything where you need to be able to get information from multiple systems, especially where, like, let's say customers are touching it. Instead of having to do the research in terms of, like, let's see how the product usage is and the tickets and so on, to be able to do a report for, let's say for renewals or for, tech support or something like that, you can tie the AI to all these different applications and then just have the AI pull a report, that may it'll pull from transcripts from Gong or Teams or Zoom and so on. It'll append with the ticket information, the financials from NetSuite, and all this can be interfaced through a natural language interface like Slack or Teams or so on. So we'll show some examples of how that works. You could also simplify those flows, by the way, leveraging an MCP server. And so this is another example where it makes it much easier to be able to use natural language to define the sort of agentic flow that you do, but rather than having to actually build out the entire, all the branches and all the steps that you are trying to where it normally would in a more deterministic process. And so we're going to show an example of what that means when you unleash an MCP server for this type of example. So this customer 360 chat is an example of a piece of functionality where you can have an AI chat that's powered by an MCP server across all your different applications. And then if you had just one simple agentic use case that you could implement today, or to get the team's understanding, how can you possibly improve processes with AI? I would say something like this: an AR answer agent is a great one. Everyone has that email, let's say info at whatever it is, that everyone uses to ask for invoices and for tax documents and other inquiries. And what you could do is you could have an agent be listening to that email, identifying what the response should be. It's making sense of that unstructured data. It'll go into the right places. Let's say if it's looking for an invoice, it'll go into NetSuite. It'll pull out the PDF. It'll attach it to the email. It'll prepare a response. And you could have it respond automatically, or you could have, what most people prefer is to provide a human in the loop, to provide a little bit of guardrail, so that someone in the morning can look at the draft folder and then validate and then finally send it out. But in the meantime, at least they saved a lot of time, from having to compose the response, do the research, and grab the information in the right place. So this is a super simple one that then can extend to many different other applications. And so with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and pass it on to Yusuf to show some of this in action.
Absolutely. Yeah, so let me just share my screen. Thank you very much, Rico. and team. So can you see my screen and can you see here AI? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so as Rico just mentioned, so we have like a lot of AI use cases that we can show you today. So Celigo has just started recently and added like new features like AI agents, guardrails, MCP servers, and tools. Aura as well. This is like basically not just a simple chatbot, but it's an agent on the top of the platform that gives you the possibility to do a lot of things on the platform. It's like an agent working for you, doing things on behalf of you. Things that you can do like in the UI, you can do it with the help of Aura. But before we get to that, I want to touch on like one of the use cases that Rico mentioned, which is like the customer 360. This is like a very, I think it's one of the use cases that resonates the most with our customers. And I had a lot of discussions with many of our customers, and whenever they see this, especially the ones who are like in B2B, they can see quickly the value. So this is basically a flow or like an agent that can build for you like a customer 360 for your base customers. And for that, so we've built for Celigo. So this is like basically an internal use case that we've built for ourselves. And it's based on a Slack bot. We call it Celigo bot. This Slack bot has, we've built on the top of it. It's very simple to configure this type of Slack bots. You just configure where you want to push configure basically the name of the Slack bot, and then what is the URL that you want the Slack bot to send you the data that you are going to do in that bot. So in our case, we configured a slash command. It's called the account summary slash command, and you provide the name or like part of the names of the customer or the account that you want to search. In my case, you see like I've done like some an example, like I've run it earlier today. So you see like once I run that slash command, it will go and fetch the accounts. And this is basically this is the flow behind that agent. So everything starts with a listener in Slack. So we listen to the bot's events. So anything happening in that bot, whether you are writing something or triggering a slash command, everything will land here. So once we get that slash command slash account summary with Acme, first thing that we do is we get the potential accounts. This is like our tech stack. It's Celigo's tech stack. We're using Salesforce, Slack as our collaborative internal collaborative system, and then we fetch the accounts with that name Acme, or part of the name is Acme, and then we send back the options. So if I go back here, you see that I got back Acme Chocolatier. It could be like one option or multiple options, maybe Acme packaging and Acme logistics, just examples here. A few details about that account. If I click on choose, what will happen now is like we are going over like this first branch. So this is just a few some context on related to this use case. I'm as like a solution consultant, I have to jump on a calls with customers, and usually, I mean, if I want to really prepare for those calls, I need to spend like some time, like maybe like 30 minutes researching the account, getting like all the details from the CRM. Maybe if we have like recordings of the previous recordings of calls with my colleagues between like the sales reps and then that customer, I need to check the recordings. Maybe I will not listen to everything, but I will like jump in that recording. Might have like need to know where is the contract will expire. So this is something I can get from NetSuite, the ERP. And then I want, for example, to see if that customer has some challenges, like they open some tickets. So just this one, like if you want to look at all the open tickets, get all the comments, understand the exchange between our support team and the customer, and understand, get like an idea. I mean, it takes a lot of time. Then we have like Snowflake, this is where we are storing the usage, how the customer is using the platform, things like how many users they have, how many active flows they have. So you got the picture. I mean, it takes a lot of time to gather all this information. So in our case, what we do here in this automation is that we gather this context related to that customer from different systems. I think it's here, it's like already we have like 5 different systems. Once we gather that context, we can build the actual context, distilled context from all the data that we get from all these systems. So if I open, for example, this, so and in this case, we are processing the data with OpenAI. It could be OpenAI, it could be any other LLM. We support all of them, Gemini, Anthropic, or even a local model. So if I open what we are going to send to OpenAI in this case, you will see that this is my data that I'm sending to OpenAI, and we have information coming from the CRM and other, like for example here, this is coming from the Snowflake part. So we gather this information and we send it as company. We get all the information needed from Zendesk for the tickets. We send that, and also from Gong calls, we get the information, the transcripts, and we distill what we need from those calls and we send it. So we form or we build our context that we are going to share with the LLM. This is one of the main ways to avoid hallucinations. It's basically building like a context that gives the information needed that we need to extract, instead of providing all this information coming from here and send everything to the LLM. So once we, as I mentioned before, we support Gemini, Anthropic. You could also add an open or a local model, open source model as well. We can support that with the help of connectors like Olama. So once we send that to the LLM. So AI will do what the AI does the best, which is like extract information and transform, get us what we are asking for in that prompt. So we get that response, and then we generate here a report. It's a PDF, and then we move that PDF to somewhere we are going to store it, like Google Drive here. Again, this is just our tech stack, and then we send back the link. So in reality, this part here, it's optional. So once you get this information, you can just send it back as a response to whoever requested that in Slack. But in our case, because this is something that I think our executive leaders and even like sales reps, they want to have some PDFs so that they can check those PDFs and basically compare them in different times during like the month or the period where we are having those meetings with the customer. So if I go back to my Slack bot, you see that I got here my Google Doc. It's already generated. So if I click on it, it's a nice PDF, branded. It has Celigo. So it's built based on the information that we extracted from the LLM, with the help of the LLM. Get like the profile of the customer, the business overview for that account, things like stakeholders, and this is very important. So these are coming, we get this from the CRM, but let's suppose in one of the calls, a new stakeholder, like maybe a new CTO or like a CIO, jump on a call and maybe introduce themselves. So this is where we get like the power of this automation, because at the end of the flow, once we extract this information here, we can add other steps where we are augmenting the data that we have in the CRM with the data that we extracted with the help of AI. So if we go here, like that CTO, maybe we will have it in the PDF, but we don't have it in the CRM. So we can add that at the end of the flow and augment our new contacts and other things that we will see like in this PDF. So this is related to the financial health, how are using the account. This is coming from NetSuite. And then this is the interesting part for me, which is like you want, to prevent churn of our customers. So we want our customers to be happy, and we want to address any complaints or doubts that they have. So let's suppose that one of the sales reps had a call with the customer, maybe the first or second call with the customer, and the customer complained about a pre-built connector that does not exist, could not find it. So maybe no one took notes of that remark. We don't have it in the CRM, but with the help of this type of automation, we can extract this information as red flags and risks, and have it in our PDF, our report. Same thing for the support tickets. We have like tickets. I can clickable links to my support platform, Zendesk here. I can see what are the priorities of this customer. I don't want to have discussions with the customer on things that are not their priorities. I don't want to pitch something like APIM or AI if they are like clearly their focus is on EDI, for example. So, and this part here, the growth opportunities, this is where I think the AI is really good. The prediction part. So based on all the information that we provided the AI, we asked the AI, okay, this is the customer, all these data points that you get about the customer. What do you think are the next growth opportunities? And we get like some points that maybe once we will address all these priorities that they have, we can discuss with them the growth opportunities and see how we can provide them more value with our platform. So if we go back to this flow, if you look at, so this is another point that Rico mentioned earlier, which is like, we're not replacing everything with autonomous AI for this use case. If you look at the flow, it seems like it's a deterministic process. We know exactly how to get the results. We know what are the systems, what is the data, where to get our data from. The only part that is agentic and needs some agency is this part here. So, and this is because this is like a case where historically we could not really automate this with deterministic steps, simply because we could not extract, before the generative AI, we could not extract points from or extract entities from a large chunk of text. Now we have these transcripts and we have a lot of information here. We could use some agency with this step here with the AI. So this is like one of the typical use cases where you don't really build an AI agent, an autonomous one. Let's look at another example now. We can take a look at what is an AI agent and where we do need that autonomy, autonomous agents or agentic capabilities. I want to show you like here, this is Acme Chocolatier. It's vibe coded website. Honestly, it's completely vibe coded. It's a store to sell chocolate, and we have a vibe coded chatbot here. So this is a chatbot that it's a new feature. We want to provide this experience to our customers, and we want the customers to be able to do everything orders via this chatbot. Things like returns, refunds, guided experience for the purchasing, like build me a box of chocolate, and then the bot can ask you, well, what are the flavors that you want? How many pieces do you want in your box? And then you can provide information, and the agent can build for you that box. So this agent here, so if I do something like track my order, which is like, where is my order? It's a very typical thing in e-commerce chatbots. So what will happen now is that this bot will reply to us by asking us what is information that can help the bot identify the order. And in reality, in the backend, it's an agent. It's an agent built on Celigo, and I will show you the agent in a second. It's one agent built in the platform, right? This is the agent. It's called acmechocolatier.com. The agent has a lot of, I mean, we can configure that agent by providing like, what is the LLM, what is the brain for that agent? In our case, it's, we use like OpenAI, but you can also use Celigo AI. So it's either you bring your own key. If you have already this relationship with the foundational models, things like OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini, you can already like bring your key and connect to those models that you are using in your organization. If not, and this is something that we've seen many times with a lot of customers, they see they see that AI is useful for them for a specific use case, but they don't want to have this relationship with these big LLM companies. So what they can do, they can just pick Celigo AI, and we can resell, Celigo will resell the tokens for them simply. So right now we are supporting, I think, OpenAI and Gemini, and in the next release, we will support Anthropic as well. So for the agent, every agent needs to have instructions. You can define what are the instructions, things that you want to allow, things that you don't want to allow, how the agent, how do you want the agent to achieve the goal, right? That you, which is like in this case, it's an assistant for the customers, and you can define what is the format that you want to get as an output from that agent. And the important part is this one: what are the tools that you want the agent to use? So if I click on Add Tools, you see that by default, you get like natively with the agent 2 tools: web search, image generation. You can also add like another concept where we have like another concept in the platform called tools. It's something that has a trigger and gives you an output. And in the middle, you define and you design what is your business logic, whatever you want to do in the middle. So you can build that in the platform and have it here and just select it so that the agent can use this tool to act on your data. If you don't want to use like just the native ones and the tools that you built in Celigo, and you have some MCP server maybe outside of Celigo, or you built it in Celigo as well, you can just define a connection to that MCP server by providing the URI and a way to authenticate to that MCP server. And then you will be able to retrieve all the tools available for that MCP server. So you see that I have here, I'm using this MCP server. It's called Acme Chocolatier Commerce Tools. Has like a couple of few tools which are like APIs that I added to this MCP server, and we've built this one in Celigo as well, so that if someone is interacting with our chatbot, the agent in the backend can act with the help of these tools on our data. Create support ticket. This is something that we will need to do in Zendesk, for example. Look up orders. It's orders from NetSuite or from the OMS that we are using. If we scroll a little bit down, so we have other configurations that we can have. So reasoning effort, do you want your agent to reason? We have like a high level of reasoning or low level of reasoning, and other configurations that we can add here to our agent. Another part is that before you add this agent, wherever you are going to add it, like whether it's a flow in Celigo, or like a tool or an API that you want to expose to the external world, and people can like just call that API and use the agent. You have the possibility to test the agent. You can provide like an input and then test the agent, and then you will be able to see the trace and reasoning of how the agent is reasoning to get to the result. Another thing that you can do is like you can compare models. Maybe I'm using GPT-5, and I can use like a cheaper one, like 4.0. I can compare the models and see the output and compare if this is the same output, and like with different scenarios. I don't see why I would use like an expensive one if I can use just the cheap one. Maybe this is like a simple task, something like summarization or like to categorize in a text based on some criteria. So these are like simple tasks that you don't need really to have like a powerful LLM or model to do this type of tasks. So you can see how many tokens were consumed, the latency of every model. Maybe the 4.0 is cheaper, but the 5 is faster. So I can my criteria here to select is basically the latency. So I can just select the one that is faster. I can add a third model and compare between three. So this is like a tool that helps you choose what is the best option for you to achieve the goal that you defined in your set of instructions. So if we go back to that Acme Chocolatier, nice examples, I can do something like sarah@gmail.com. So we'll go try to fetch with the help of the resources that we have. So remember that that MCP server we added like some APIs. So you see we have like create, support, get orders, and get orders by lookup orders by emails. If I click on this one, you see that this is just an API. It's very simple API that you can build with the help of API Builder. It's something that takes as an input an email. This is what we provided to the chatbot, and we'll use the connector to NetSuite to do that lookup. We have some transformation of the data to make it nice, and then we have like if it's successful response, we will send back. The agent will get this information. We have an order. This is the date and the total and the items that we have in that order, and what is the status of the order. So once we have this, we've built the API, right? You can add it now to the MCP server. And this is the MCP server that we've built for that agent. I can just add MCP. So either I create a new one, or I can add it to one of the MCP servers that I have. So you see that this one is great because I have this API already in this MCP server, Acme Chocolatier. So we will get back the response, the order. Then I can go like, what is the status of this order, and then can do different things. I can try another thing. I can say something like, help me build a box of chocolate. Make it 24 pieces and surprise me with the flavors. Let's see. Yeah, so now it will try to use another tool to get me the response for this one. Again, everything is about that MCP server that you provide the tool or the instructions. Maybe it does not really need a tool for this ask. See, great. I filled this 24 pieces and surprise box. It give you like a surprise box with 24 pieces, different flavors. I guess I'm surprised here. I don't like hazelnut, but anyway. Yeah, so if we continue, we have that MCP server for this one. Everything's fine. Now let's see what is behind this. So as I said, everything here is Vibe coded, even this chatbot. So how this chatbot is working, there is like just one API needed in the backend, which is this one, acmechocolatier.com API. And it takes a request, which is whatever the user will type in that chatbot. It will process that with the agent, and we will use here guardrails. Very important. Can't talk about AI without having like governance, especially if you have something like this. This is like customer facing. This is your brand. You can't play with this. I mean, you can't just provide this chatbot to the public internet and hope and that this is going to go well. So I think we saw what the agent had, how we can build like the agent. Now let's see the guardrails. So this is like very important because anything that the agent will say, so you see this result mapping, the output of that agent, it will go over like a filter, type of filter. So the guardrails, it's like first class component that we have in the platform. It's something that we have, and we add by default, because we think that this is very important. It's not like just a detail, a filter that you will add here, but it's something that you need to configure. So if we look at the guardrails a little bit closer, we have three type of guardrails. We have the PIIs. You can say, well, I mean, I don't know why my agent will have to send credit card numbers to customers. This is obviously not something that I want to do. Same thing for like medical license numbers or anything here, or maybe I can just select all of them. And you can see at the end, the advanced settings, if I see a PII detection, I want to mask that. And I don't want to send it. So it will be, once you get the text, it will detect what is the PII and it will mask it, tokenize it with stars. So the second type of guardrails is the moderation. So I want my text to go over like some moderation. If any of these, my text is has like any of these elements, categories, I want just to flag that. And once flagged, I can know I know what to do with that at least, or we will prevent to send that at all to the next step. The third one is a custom one. So this is more for those organizations or companies. They have their own policy, and they can bring the policy here, define it here, and define what is the confidence threshold. Where do you want to be very strict, or do you want to make it like just like maybe half? Well, if you think that this is going to be compliant, just 50% compliant, you want to be tolerant about that. So you define the instructions, and this is going to be used to flag the content that we are going to send. And then you send it as a response. So once you get the response, you will get something like this from the agent. So let me show you another example now. If I go back to that another example here with the MCPs. So as I explained, I mean, previously, you can build the APIs. So we've built here order master things like different APIs doing different things. You see here, get inventory for product. This is one of the APIs that we see in a lot of customers asking for, which is you have, let's say, your ERP, NetSuite, and there are like have partners, vendors. They want to have in real time access to your inventory. It's just that you can't give them access to your ERP. This is not possible, right? So what is the solution here is to build like an API on the top of your system. So in my case here, it's just a database, very simple database. It could be multiple steps here. I could be doing like a lookup to a database, a lookup to a CRM, adding something in the ERP, and maybe a fourth like step, and then I send back the response of my API. So you can build and define the business, the logic behind your API. You will see that the request here, we send the product ID, which is what is the ID of my product that I want to look for the inventory for, and then we send back the response. So this API and other APIs can be sent again and added to MCP server. And this MCP server now, which is this one, order master, you see that we have tools. I can like add more APIs. I can add even tools in the platform. So things that you built as like one tool, one trigger, one output. It's not an API. Or I can add APIs. I can select from the list of APIs that I have in the platform and say, well, these are my APIs that I want to expose in my MCP server, give it a name, a relative URI / order master, and then secure it with the help of a token. And then once we have this, Now I can use this MCP server outside of Celigo. I could use it with the agents that I built in Celigo, but I can choose to use it in my chatbot in something like Claude or Claude Code. In my case, I love Claude Code. So this is basically similar to Claude Desktop. You've seen that, for example, here I have another MCP server, which is this one, Salesforce NetSuite MCP. This one has like 4 tools, very specific tools to do very specific things: get NetSuite invoice, get Salesforce accounts, and get Salesforce opportunities, get Salesforce and post or create Salesforce accounts. So I can go here and I can do something like list all my Salesforce accounts that have Acme in the name. So it will go select one of the tools, which is get Salesforce accounts, and get me what is the name of that account that has Acme from my Salesforce account. Another example with that order master is this one. So get your order list. So I list all orders. So, and then it will use this tool, get order list, from my order master MCP, which is the one that I just showed you there. And it will get me all the orders, and I can say, get me all the customers, and then you show me all my customers, and then I can say, do a customer 360 on this. Let's do it live. Let's do it live. I think it's a good exercise. So I can just do something now, like let's do the same request, like maybe something list all customers. Oh, yeah. Okay. All my customers. So what I'm expecting now is that the Claude Code will try to find what is the tool. So it knows that I have like a tool in Order Master called get list customer list, and then it shows me all the customers that I have here. I can select one of them, Ella Thompson, just an example, and I can say do customer 360 on Ella Thompson. Not very creative request, but anyway. So it will now either find, so it tries to do get order list, and obviously at the very beginning, this is the first time that I will run this command, so I can give it the permission to do that, and it will run the get product catalog, get all the information from different systems, and then now let me get the details of Ella's orders. It will go and look at the order details, and build for me that customer 360 for Ella Thompson. So I got something here, Ella Thompson's profile, order history, have like order 5, all the line items, and some key insights and flags. So this is a very efficient way to expose your data from different systems to the external world, something like a chatbot. As Rico mentioned at the very beginning, this is we have like a layer of governance on the top of the MCP server. There are like a lot of vendors out there. They have their own MCP servers. If you look at the Salesforce, it's 66 tools in the MCP server. So if you ask a question, the agent, whatever you are using, needs to go over like 66 tools to understand how to get to the goal and achieve it, and to get this information. Sometimes I had like discussions with some customers that are using the MCP NetSuite, which is a great tool. It's very useful, very helpful for a lot of customers. The problem that I hear about the MCP for any platform, not only NetSuite, it's that you will have to assign a role to that MCP server, and then once you assign that role, you can't use that MCP connection to everyone in the company. If you do like an admin role, you don't want to have like a simple employee to have it like access to all the information in the ERP. So this is where Celigo can help. I mean, we can help with building something like this. I mean, you can build quickly. It's very, I can build it in like 2 minutes. I can have like the resources already defined, like great experienced specialists like Fusion 5 can build for you like APIs to all these systems. And then once you build the API, you can expose it as an MCP server. And then once you have the MCP server, you can define who is the group that can have XYZ MCP and who is the group to have another level of the MCP server. Yeah, so I think that was all. We covered everything. Aura, as I said, it's not just a chatbot. It's not something that where you are going just to ask a question, you'll get a response, something about the documentation. I've seen some testing for Aura, and it's obviously it's still beta. We are still working on making it like more efficient. But it's already like mind blowing. So you can do things like you see, invite users. I can just say, hey, add Rico at celigo.com as user. Give him admin permissions. That's enough. If I send this, obviously this is not an email, Rico's email. I need to look up Rico's email, but if I send this, it should do exactly what I will do manually here, which is like go to users, invite user, put the email here and give it admin. Same thing for anything else. I mean, building a flow, troubleshooting errors. It's not a chatbot, it's an agent on the top of the platform. That's what I can say about Aura. And feel free to, if you have access to Celigo, you can like have a trial account to try Aura because it's really very, very useful. I think we covered everything. Not sure if Jaden, Rico,
That's
Lula,
fantastic, Yusuf. And I love
yeah.
how you've got an agent to help you build your agents. You know, Celigo has always been a really elegant user interface to help people build their own integrations without needing to be too technical, without necessarily needing a developer. And you can kind of see what you've shown today is all very navigatable by an end user without having to be necessarily a developer. Having the agent on top just makes it even more accessible to the average person, which is fantastic. I loved how, you know, that flow you showed us with all the different applications, at least 5 or more. You know, you're kind of replicating what many people aspire to have when they, you know, try and set up things like data lakes. And so being able to have multiple systems data, being able to query all of that in real time, not all data lakes are real time. You know, being able to gain access to that data straight away is really compelling, especially for people who don't necessarily have a data lake. If you do, you could make the flow simpler and you could just ping the data lake. But, you know, it suits both use cases. And then I love the fact that you're then putting your reports back in a central repository. A lot of people I talk to who are using AI for chat and MCP, they might create great artifacts, but then they're siloed in their chat history and it's not necessarily then shared with the wider organization when it deserves to be. So, you know, having that centralization capability at the end of your flow really appealed to me. I love the guardrails that you talked about. I think these days AI is so powerful that it's less about what can you do, it's more about what you shouldn't. And, you know,
Exactly.
putting that time and emphasis around those guardrails is critical, especially if, as you said, if you're going to make it customer facing. You know, it's okay to some extent to have a little bit of egg on your face internally. As soon as you go customer facing, you want that tested within an inch of its life, and you had those comparison tools, you had the guardrails. That's going to be really critical for putting these things into production. So I could go on and on. I'm really excited about this technology. I know we've probably hit time. Just before we wrap up, like how does Celigo charge for these new features that you've added onto the platform recently?
I can speak to that. So these features are included in all Celigo subscription. Celigo's primary price point is based off of endpoints and flows built. The one exception is with the Celigo when Celigo is providing the LLM itself. Obviously we're using an LLM in the back end, so we're buying tokens, and then we pass off the cost of the tokens to you. But otherwise, if you're using your own LLM, these are included in the cost at the moment.
Fantastic. And I think that's really compelling as well. Not everyone has deployed at an enterprise level OpenAI or Anthropic or Copilot solutions. And so being able to centralize all of that functionality, maybe in people's existing chat or Slack interfaces, to be able to kickstart some of these processes that are in a lot more of a secure and kind of lockdown environment, might be a way that some businesses who might be avoiding AI in the short term because of the security, because of the controllability issues. If you're giving them those tools and you give their users the ability to access it safely, that could be very compelling for a whole new swath of customers who may not have dipped their toes in the water yet. So I just want to say thank you to the Celigo team for your time today. I think there were a few questions that have popped up in the chat. We've covered a couple of them. Some people have asked about which LLMs do we settle on. Hopefully you've heard today that you can kind of pick nearly any of them. I really like the fact that you also support open source models, being able to run local models. For anyone who's concerned about data sovereignty, being able to run it on a particular piece of hardware that's running onshore or in your basement, that's very, very compelling if you don't necessarily want something heading overseas. So the fact that you support that already is fantastic. And then some other key questions about specific capabilities around, for example, sending email drafts to Salesforce or connecting with Zoom. Any specific questions you have about capabilities? Really, Celigo's integrated.io platform has always been about strength when it comes to integration. So the key thing we would look at to answer those questions would be, do the APIs exist? And we take a look at the vendor's documentation. I'm not a Salesforce or a Zoom expert, but usually those documents are publicly available. We can take a look at the APIs, see if they're available. And sometimes it's specific. Sometimes they'll give you an API to create a record, but not to edit it, is a common one. So we look pretty closely at what's possible, and then we can convey to you whether what you've got in your imagination is something we can turn into a reality. So I hope that answers some of the questions we had, and I think hopefully we can wrap up from there. I really appreciate everyone who spent the time, listening and hearing the new technology that we've got to show you all today. And hopefully we'll see you on some of our subsequent sessions.
That's good. Thank you very much, everyone.
Guys, thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Rico. Thanks, Yusuf. Thanks to Lunacy Up.
No problem. Thanks, guys.